Today I'm talking about my favorite anti-Semitic book, The Protocols of the Elders of Zion, the most controversial book in history. The Protocols of the Elders of Zion is a big deal, having an enormous impact upon the world since its publication in 1903. The Protocols refer to 24 uncovered documents detailing the operations and plans of the Jewish world power. The Protocols exposed their secret plan to take over the world by undermining all authority and setting up an autocracy to rule over the Gentiles. But before we get into just how damaging this book would become, let's take a look inside. The Jewish world power has been in place since ancient times, passed down through the generations. They act behind Gentile fronts, essentially acting as the man behind the curtain for positions of power. The Protocols claimed that no American presidency has existed without the influence from this Jewish elite. The Gentile fronts remain to deceive the public, until the time is right to seize power. To reach their end goal of a Jewish-led autocracy, the Protocols lay a plan to manipulate the Gentile proletariat into thinking and acting on behalf of the Jewish people. To garner support, the Protocols outline raising wages, but only to secretly raise the prices of prime necessities as well, and then planting seeds of anarchy, encouraging the use of alcohol, and pushing for revolution. At the same time, the Jewish elite should be creating huge monopolies and colossal reservoirs of wealth, upon which the Gentiles and government will be dependent. Land will be controlled as much as possible, and then by raising taxes and mortgage debt, create complete dependence from the land users. At this point, the government can crash, and I quote, "The Gentiles will bow before us to obtain the right to existence." Upon recovering the Protocols, the editor pointed to them as proof of Jews being behind the destruction of all nations. It was Jews who were behind the Russian Revolution, the French Revolution, and even World War I, because wars are the Jews' harvest. The mental gymnastics the editor uses to prove his point are frankly quite insane. Let's take their explanation of World War I, for example, and how the Jews caused that. So what was the cause of World War I? Nationalism. And nationalism was a reaction against Napoleon. Napoleon was the antagonist of the French Revolution. The French Revolution was the consequence of the German Reformation. The German Reformation was based upon a crude Christianity, and this Christianity was invented by the Jews. So, by the transitive property, the Jews created World War I. The editor even goes on to plead with the reader that he's not joking, as if to wink that he knows how insane he sounds. But unfortunately, he's dead serious. Jews were going to take over the world, and would do so through socialism and leftist policies. And many of their plans were already in place, but it wasn't too late as long as he could expose them. As you can see, the Protocols are pretty nuts. So, how popular could they become? The Russian Revolution of 1917 saw the overthrow of the Russian Empire. The Tsars who practiced serfdom were displaced by the Bolsheviks, led by Lenin, who preached Marxism. Karl Marx was Jewish, and Russian Jews had participated in the Russian Revolution, and this was all the supporters of the Tsar needed to quickly spread the theory that the Bolsheviks were largely controlled by the Jews, despite Jews making up only a small minority of the party. This made sense though, because even during the 19th century, anti-Semitism from the Tsars was rampant. They believed Jews could never fully assimilate into Russian culture and were therefore a threat to patriotism. To discredit the Bolsheviks, the Protocols of the Elders of Zion began being circulated. It uncovered the blueprint for Jewish world domination that had already brought down the Russian Empire. And by 1920, the Protocols had spread to Great Britain, being published in the Morning Post, and America falling into the hands of Henry Ford. Ford was a well-known anti-Semite. He was sold on the Jewish conspiracy and took it upon himself to spread the word. Ford's own newspaper, the Dearborn Independent, published the Protocols under the title, "The International Jew, the World's Foremost Problem." The article was so successful that it was later published as a book, selling 500,000 copies in the US and translated into several languages. The book made its way into the hands of none other than Adolf Hitler, who relied heavily on the text as justification for his anti-Semitic plans, pointing to it as proof that Jews were behind Germany's economic hardships. The Protocols were referenced in his speeches and in his book, Mein Kampf. So yes, Henry Ford had a part to play in the Holocaust. He was greatly respected by the German people, and was the only American mentioned by Hitler in Mein Kampf, calling him the only great man in America maintaining full independence from the Jews. All the violence and hate spawned from this book, all the anti-Semitism it grew, were based upon absolutely nothing. The Protocols of the Elders of Zion is entirely fictitious. In 1964, the US Senate reported that the protocols were fabricated. A Russian court in 1993 examined all the evidence, heard from countless experts, and also determined that there was no truth to the protocols. In fact, 60% of the book was lifted from a political French satire entitled Dialogues in Hell between Machiavelli and Montesquieu. But to this day, the protocols are widely circulated, being required literature for neo-Nazis and Holocaust deniers. In parts of the world, particularly in the Middle East, the protocols can even be found in schools. In 2002, Egypt ran a 30-part miniseries based upon the protocols on its government-sponsored television channel. But despite being a complete fabrication, there are those out there who believe deeply in the protocols, and if you take one thing from this slice of history, just don't be a dumbass and fact-check. We are in the glorious age of alternative facts, and we need to be vigilant. Depressingly, 86% of Americans who read news articles on social media do not fact-check what they read. And even more concerning, even if they did want to fact-check, 24% of Americans are unaware of what steps they'd need to take to do so. 46% are only somewhat confident that they actually could. Media outlets have biases, this is well known, and some are extremely nefarious in how they manipulate information. But for right now, all you gotta do is just keep yourself skeptical.